and this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we talk about all of your favorite scary movies.
In the wise words of Bodies, 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 today's episode is a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest friend. So today features our great friend Jason, and we are covering The Conjuring.
Feel free Jason. To say hello.
What up, what up?
We just said that Jason had a gas leak in his house.
I don't know where this is.
And you're calling him our smartest friend.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one. No.
Yeah, no, it's a
she said that every episode so far.
Oh, I didn't have to say that part.
Sorry.
I know, I think we need another one.
No, I like it
every
so
time.
much.
Okay, all right.
I love that quote. It's so funny. Also, I have this issue every time we do an episode where when I say horror hour, I think of Frank Reynolds just saying whores. I can't say that word. But anyway, so tell us about your experience with horror movies before watching The Conjuring. Have you seen a lot? Do you like them?
No, I don't like them very much. Haven't seen very many of them. I saw Sinister one time in theaters. A couple of the Final Destinations. Maybe a Scream. No, not Scream.
You've probably seen Scream.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
No, what's the Scary Movie?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe one or two of those. That's about it. So,
why don't you like them in the past?
I don't know. I guess it's just, I guess I just get too into them, and then I'm just like waiting for the scare to happen. And then when it does, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just like thinking about it too much and then like waiting for it. The anticipation gets me, but then like, I'm just like waiting for the scare. So then when it comes, I don't know. Yeah.
You got to let the movie come to you. That's how I've always described it. Like watching a movie's an art sometimes. It's like, let it come to you. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to go searching always. Like,
yeah,
you find it, but it's not easy.
I kind of thought that you wouldn't like horror movies because for the listener at home, Jason out logics every movie and tries to find the logic in every scene and will be like, well, that's not realistic. And we're like, Jason, it's a movie about
Jason likes to fight with the movie
aliens
sometimes.
And shit. So
most of the time, yeah.
yeah. So I kind of figured
that's a fair point too. A lot of the really bad horror movies. Yeah. There's a lot of really bad horror movies. I feel like
yes.
Or just cheesy.
Yeah. So I kind of assumed that you would have that problem or see even The Conjuring, which newsflash is a great movie. I thought that you would be like, well, this is realistic because ghosts are real and yada yada.
Well, we'll get into it. Yeah. Let's talk background on this movie.
Actually, wait, quick question.
Yes.
I'm already derailing. Do you believe in ghosts?
You asking me?
Yeah, both of you. This kind of
I'm back and forth, but no, currently.
Jason?
No. Yeah.
I'm a yes.
I like to believe, but no.
I think I'd like to, but yeah, no.
I don't want to.
Oh,
I think it would help me a lot if I didn't. I think it would help my anxiety a lot, but I do. And I've lived in supposedly haunted houses that are historical.
The Bordentown house.
So this hits hard.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think I'd love to because I think it's so fun, but I just can't get behind it right now. It might change.
The house where my mom lived in before she moved out of Bordentown was supposedly haunted. And some of the neighbors in the building had been like, oh, I've seen this. And I was terrified of that basement more than most basements, which all basements are scary, but it looked like the basement in the
Especially
Conjuring.
the basement in this
movie.
movie.
It was not cute. But anyway,
let's talk about background on The Conjuring.
Yeah.
So I'll go first. I'll say I saw this movie for the first time in 2013, which is when it came out, on a date. And I did not actually enjoy it that much the first time. And I've seen it at least 6 or 7 times, I'd have to guess.
Oh, wow.
I think I've had to. I mean, and Hannah, where are you on this? When did you see it?
So what happened is when The Conjuring 2 was coming out was when Matt and I were dating. And Matt said, well, I saw The Conjuring on a date, so I need to see The Conjuring 2 on a date. So he made me watch The Conjuring so we could go see Conjuring 2. And at the time I saw Conjuring 2, I lived alone. It was a really bad experience. I did not sleep for a very long time.
That movie was scary. I think this one's significally better, and I don't love The Conjuring 2, but at the time,
it might be scarier.
Maybe, yeah. It scared the shit out of me.
But yeah, so that's
how many times
have
you seen it since? Do you know? 3 or 4?
3 or 4, probably.
So that's why I think I'm at 6 or 7.
Yeah, because we've watched, every time I watched it has been with you.
Okay. I recommend this movie a lot.
And it's sick as fuck. And this is Jason's first time around.
Yeah, I watched it about I guess 10 minutes ago, yeah.
Couple beers in you, too.
Yeah.
What a fun ride.
Did they help? Did they make it better? Worse?
Oh, the movie is great, yeah.
All right.
I guess I don't want to say too much, but yeah.
It's coming right in.
So,
Tell us about the
more
movie,
background.
Hanna.
Yeah. Like you said, came out in 2013, starring Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren. It's directed by James Wan and written by Chad and Carrie Hayes.
And this is our second James Wan movie after Insidious.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it is. And Insidious walked so The Conjuring could run.
I was thinking that too. Where do you put Saw in that, though? Because Saw is...
It's just different.
Oh, true.
This feels more like similar to...
Insidious, yes,
like these
for
two are
sure.
in the
I
same
feel like
family.
any mistakes and pitfalls that or problems I had with Insidious
are
are like almost
improved in
fixed in
this,
this movie. Yeah,
100%. I agree.
and then Malignant, perfection. Or I can't speak.
Yeah, we have some differing opinion there.
No, I don't know where I align or put Malignant in all of these, but Malignant's awesome.
So something we do on this pod, Jason, is we do 15-second summaries where
Ooh, okay.
we're going to give you 15 seconds to tell me what the plot of the movie is.
In fact, you can go fast, slow.
No.
I try to go as fast as possible. But
Yeah, Matt likes to speed, race the clock, but I don't. I'll take all my 15. Oh, Jason's jotting
he's
down
writing
notes.
stuff down.
Well, I'm pulling up the timer.
Yeah, the second the timer's up, you gotta go.
All right,
Hanna can't even
and
find it.
go.
So let's see. Family has this weird doll. They give it to this one guy, ends up in the collection. Then they go back to this other family. Seemed like it was farther back in time. They buy this crazy house. Don't do any inspection on it. Don't know that they have a basement in the entire house.
Oh boy!
I want to know. I want to hear the rest, though.
Keep going.
That's
funny.
15, but yeah, just let him keep going because this is great.
Yeah.
They find the basement, and then they find the rest of the haunted house. Bring in a couple of people that think they're experts, and they figure out what's going on. They all get spooked, and eventually everything's okay.
All right. So the inspection thing really got me, and I was like, I gotta let you keep going.
I was like, I don't know where this is going, and I love it.
You want to go
next?
next? Yeah, you
Yeah.
can go next. You ready?
15 seconds is a lot
It's
quicker than you
fast.
think.
Yeah, it's fast. You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Haunted house, calls in Ed and Lorraine Warren. They fix it.
Oh, that was quick. All right.
That's going to be the plot of The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2.
I feel like I have to do a real one.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know if I
Put
can.
your timer down. Okay, go.
In the wise words of Dom Toretto, family.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm glad Jason took the job seriously, because even Matt or I will always have some bullshit ass.
This really is just a Fast and Furious movie, if you think about it.
It was all about family, yeah.
I'm glad I got
The whole
Jason.
time.
I hope somebody's laughing from that one. I make myself laugh.
We are now going to review a full summary of the movie. There is a brief content warning for the summary with brief mentions of suicide. In 1968, demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren are investigating the Annabelle case, in which roommates say that they have a possessed doll. They explain that after they contacted a medium, they allowed the spirit, who claimed to be a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, who died in the apartment, to possess the doll. Unable to get rid of the doll, as the hauntings had become more disturbing, they decided to desperately reach out to the Warrens. The Warrens then explain how the doll was never really possessed and was a conduit for a demonic spirit that manipulated the roommates so that it could eventually take over one of their bodies. 3 years later, in 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perrin move into a farmhouse with their 5 daughters and their dog. The dog refuses to enter the home. Paranormal events occur within the first few nights. Every clock in the house stops at 3:07 a.m. each night. Their dog is eventually found dead in the morning, and Carolyn wakes up with large bruises. Members of the family are also attacked by a spirit. Carolyn contacts the Warrens, who meet with her and agree to conduct an initial investigation, during which Lorraine, a clairvoyant, sees that dark forces have latched on to the Perrin family, and leaving the house will not free them. To gather evidence, they place cameras and bells around the house. Further research reveals that the house once belonged to an accused witch named Bathsheba Sherman, who sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil and hung herself in 1863 at 3:07 a.m. in the morning after cursing all who take her land. There are reports of numerous murders and suicides throughout the years in the houses that were built on the property. One morning, Bathsheba appears to Carolyn and fully possesses her. That night, the group hears a spirit luring one of their daughters into a wardrobe where she reveals a secret passage. Lorraine enters the passage and falls down to the cellar where she sees the spirit of a woman who Bathsheba had possessed long ago and used to kill her child. Bathsheba attacks another daughter, and the incident is caught on camera. The Warrens conclude that it is sufficient evidence to receive authorization from the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism, but the Church explains that approval would have to come directly from the Vatican because the Perron family are not Catholic. The Perron family take refuge at a motel, but Carolyn takes 2 daughters back to the house to kill them. Ed and Lorraine find Carolyn in the cellar trying to stab her daughter. Lorraine warns that if they take Carolyn outside of the house, Bathsheba will kill her. So they tie Carolyn to a chair, and Ed attempts the exorcism himself. Though Carolyn escapes and attempts to kill her other daughter, Lorraine is able to call to her by reminding her of a special memory that she shared with the family, which allows Ed time to complete the exorcism, lifting Bathsheba's curse and condemning her back to hell.
So normally we'll go into how many times we hide, screamed, thoughts on the movie, yada yada. But because this is based off a true story, I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit first.
Nice.
So,
and you didn't know Jason going in, right?
Well, I read at the beginning, but yeah.
I couldn't tell if you really processed it, so the whole time I was like, does he know?
I don't know what I thought about it, yeah.
Does it, do you buy it? Because again, I know you out logic movies, do you buy it?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Well, a family bought a house that probably all that stuff did happen to it 100 years ago. The mom killing the kids and everything like that. And then they might have been seeing some weird stuff. Maybe there was just a weird gas leak at the basement of the house. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Warrens. I didn't really think about that too much after, but you were kind of talking a little bit about all the other weird cases that they've solved. I would probably just like to know more about them, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Solved or whatever they did.
Know.
Yeah.
Operating under a skeptic's lens. Well, in real life, in 1971, the Warrens claimed that the Harrisville, Rhode Island home of the Perron family was haunted by a witch who lived there in the early 19th century, which is in the movie. And according to the Warrens, Bathsheba Sherman cursed the land, so whoever lived there somehow died a terrible death. She was rumored to be a Satanist, and there was evidence that she had been involved in the death of a neighbor's child, but no trial ever took place. So, yeah, the Warrens were called in. Andrea Perron, who was the oldest of the 5 daughters, is now 64. She was 12 at the time of the haunting.
Okay.
And she said that the film has many elements of truth to it and some moments of fiction. She did say that whoever the spirit was perceived herself to be the mistress of the house and resented the competition that her mom posed. And there was not an exorcism, like is in the movie, apparently. There was a seance, though. Lorraine has, insisted they would never perform an exorcism without the help of a Catholic priest, which is also suspicious because, they're often talked about as, the only people outside of the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism.
I thought it was that they were able to assist in an exorcism.
Okay,
they performed along with priests.
Yeah. Maybe that's it, because I've always heard that linked.
That is their
and
thing.
Lorraine was like, no, we would never perform an exorcism without the church. So, was not an exorcism, was a seance, though, and Andrea says she did observe the seance of her mother, and said that her mother began to speak of it in a language not of this world, in a voice not in her own. Her chair levitated, and she was thrown across the room. She was 12.
I get my hair stood up. I know I'm skeptical, but that's
the
so
thing.
Cool.
Had she been 6, I'd be like,
that's bullshit. But 12 is
but 12 is kind of that age where I kind of start to buy it. I don't know.
That is Because a lot of other stories, Jason, with the Warrens, people believe they were doing it as publicity stunts. Specifically what happens in The Conjuring 2, which takes place in the UK. Like, a lot of people thought the kids were just trying to get, like, attention, trying to, like, make money, basically. So there is, like, a lot of skepticism.
There's a lot more in the second of, like, that case that's, like, debunked.
Yes.
But there's also some stuff that I don't know how to debunk from that one, like the tapes.
The tapes are insane.
The tapes are insane.
We'll
show you that eventually.
Yeah, there's a part where basically the girl's getting interviewed in the second one, and in real life they have the tapes of her interview, and her voice changes to this like old man's voice.
And I don't know how like a small child.
They play it in the credits, I'm pretty sure, and it like actually made it hard for me to sleep.
That was actually the scariest part of the movie, was the credits, and it was. But
we're talking about 2, and I feel like 2 is just so much worse than this one.
Yeah, sorry.
But there are just
jumping ahead.
Things in real life, and I do love the Warren cinematic universe, but I hate that that's a thing, and I kind of wish that I think this one's just great and like really didn't need much beyond it. But
yeah, I feel like if they didn't include that at all and just made it a fictional story, it would have still been great.
Yeah. Yep. The Warrens are great characters though. In movies, maybe not in real life, but
some more, So some more real life things is actually the husband Roger kicked the Warrens out because he was worried about his wife's mental stability, which is kind of he starts to like worry about her in the movie, I guess. But according to the eldest daughter, they stayed in the house because they couldn't afford to move, so they stayed for a decade. At which point the spirits were silenced and the haunting ceased.
So once the Warrens left.
Who's to say?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I don't know.
That's also part of it, is people think that the Warrens were possibly just like...
kind of tricking people into
charlatans, whatever word I want to use here. Yeah, you know.
There's also...
the Warrens, not the...
Yeah, the Warrens. Like, we're going around and just tricking people into thinking that they're being haunted.
To, like, make
it's just,
Yeah. And they used to have, like, a museum of their... Yeah, they've written books. They used to have a museum of, like, the artifacts from the cases. Which again, like,
Annabelle.
Okay, like the movie.
No, that's real.
I
should pull up a picture for you.
Yeah, so
I'll find it when you talk, Hannah.
Is wild. I find it hard to believe that like you could go through a variation of this and stay in the house. So that's kind of where I knew the eldest daughter saying that it happened, but then like to stay there for another decade.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
Yeah, especially when
they were poor.
Like that.
That's the thing. Like when you're poor, you don't have the means to just up and move. I know people say that about like homeless people all the time. Like, get a job. Well, how can I get a job if I don't have anywhere to put my head at night or to bathe? Yada yada. Whole cycle. But as we had mentioned earlier, in the beginning of the movie, it kind of starts with Annabelle, which was also a real case of theirs, a real doll, and the doll in real life. Matt's going to show you a picture, and I want your reactions to what it actually looks like. Yeah.
So this is Lorraine and the real doll in its case. So careful touching the table. Yeah.
A lot goofier.
Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
More realistic, though, for somebody to just own, right? Porcelain dolls are really expensive, right? They're like collector's item. Raggedy Ann is...
my mom recently tried to get me to take a porcelain doll. I might have mentioned this.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Or to me. I don't know if you mentioned it here.
But my mom tried to get me to take a porcelain doll, and
you said no thanks.
It's actually in that box of stuff I gave you guys with holiday decor.
Oh, what? You gave it to Jason?
Yeah, she made me. She said it needs to go to a good home because it was my aunt's.
She just gave it to Jason without telling him?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I've got a haunted doll in my basement this whole time just waiting.
This is a great reveal.
All the weird sounds I've been hearing, the running water, everything off. Okay, on that, now I know what,
But I will say, I feel like the Cabbage Patch, Raggedy Ann, like those style dolls, don't scare me to look at.
I'd probably laugh and then get chopped up to bits.
Yeah.
They don't scare me to look at. Like, I think the harder dolls are scarier, but if the Raggedy Ann doll started walking around my house,
well, you won't hear
that
it.
Is scary.
You won't hear it. You won't
that
hear
is
it. It's like,
oh my God. I have
scarier.
that picture in my head now, and I'm like,
especially because, like, how does that stay up? And, like, apparently, again, they found the doll in, like, weird positions and stuff. So
yeah.
that's horrifying.
That was also, the Annabelle story at the beginning was...
well,
like,
being a doll like that would make a little more sense if it was just getting brushed around by the wind, but yeah.
They said it would show up in, like, positions that it shouldn't have been able to stay in as a Raggedy Ann doll. Like a porcelain, you could probably... I don't know if they have joints. but like a Barbie has joints, right? You could like maneuver to
Yeah,
certain
you can't
things.
have
Like
your hand
a
up,
Raggedy
yeah.
Ann should not be able to just sit in certain positions that they said it was in.
Yeah.
But that is like the story. They basically cover the Warrens investigated that as well, and they pretty much cover that whole story as a little short story that's kind of our cold open.
Which I think is very fun.
It's really cool.
Another Warren thing, and this is kind of my last Warren fact I wanted to talk about. So again, we've talked about how the Warrens may or may not have been the best people. And it has been said that Ed Warren was a pedophile.
I learned that today from you.
Yeah. And had been
allegedly
a
pedophile.
And sleeping with a 15-year-old girl, impregnated her. Lorraine and Ed made her get an abortion because they didn't want it to ruin their like family name and their legacy. Allegedly.
Yeah. And there was other stories, right, of him being a creep, or no?
I don't know. I haven't like read too far into it. I just have heard that. And again, all of the information about the haunting, all of that, like these aren't coming from very good sources. Very good sources don't really cover ghost stories. So
except for our friends at
Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
Yep.
shout out. You'll see them on an episode in the future. But yeah, reliable news media doesn't really cover hauntings and paranormal investigators. So I feel like with any of the information, I would take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's really interesting to like know that and then see these movies. Like you would not put that together.
No, not at all. These movies are definitely, I think you said it before,
They're
war and propaganda.
War and propaganda, 100%.
Well, make them look awesome. They
Yeah.
make them just look like wonderful people.
That was actually one of my like comments for the movie was this movie does a great job of like fostering the relationship of Ed and Lorraine together, but also Ed and Lorraine with the family. And it makes them look so good and so loving. You're like, oh my goodness, I want them to be like my aunt and uncle. Like, they're so sweet.
It also helps
and hot.
that Vera and...
they have great chemistry
they're
together.
Just wonderful.
Even in interviews, like, you'll watch and they clearly have really good banter as people. And it's definitely, you see it on screen.
Yeah, they crushed. Their performances, I think, are really good in this movie. Probably the strongest part.
And Lorraine did work on the movie.
The real Lorraine.
So, yeah, before Ed had already passed away, and Lorraine has since passed away, I think in like 2019 or something, but, yeah, so her influence is definitely
the daughters
in
worked on it
these
too, though, right?
movies.
Or no? They were
The
consultants?
parent family, I think,
Yeah.
had some, I don't know what their involvement looked like, but you can see, again, the impact of, like, them.
Well, I saw a picture today with it was all the adult parent daughters with their counterpart actor children, like while they were filming this movie. So I know they were involved in some way. Yeah, from Twilight.
Yeah, one of the daughters is Renesmee.
All right,
so
does that cover all of our
that's
background?
All of the
We can start talking
background.
about hides and screams.
Yeah, the Hanna
There were a
hide
couple.
count was at 4, but 2 of those were for like an entire scene.
From you.
multiple minutes.
Yeah, these are just
Okay.
purely me because the other 2 did not hide.
I didn't hide. We know that about me.
Yeah, you don't hide. I didn't expect Jason to hide or scream, and I was pleasantly surprised.
We'll find a
Scream
movie eventually that I hide at.
You've seen these, so it's kind of know
when
what's
there's
gonna
something,
happen.
I'm sure we'll find
But
something.
you didn't hide at Barbarian in theaters, which is like the
That-
scariest fucking movie.
I thought I was going to pull a hamstring when I saw Barbarian because I tensed my legs up so
That
hard.
shit was so scary. But one of the scenes, the entire scene, and I don't remember the one daughter's name, Joey King
Yeah.
and Nancy, in the middle of the night, where her leg starts getting pulled, and then she looks under the bed, and then she's like, "It's behind you."
Oh,
like
she's
by the
behind
door.
the door.
Yeah, that shit. That whole scene, I was.
That was a great scene.
What
Under
did you
the
say about
bed.
that?
Yeah, I just like the looking into the one side, then really looking underneath, thinking you see something, and then I guess seeing it. But yeah, we never really saw what she was seeing. But yeah.
And I know the thing like wasn't under the bed, but it really makes me feel good about how I like kind of run to the bed at night. Like I kind of like run and hop in.
You jump from the door, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on like what kind of mood I'm like, how scared
We can't have
I am.
your feet near the
No,
underside
that's
of the
the
bed.
I think I'll
problem.
definitely
Right.
probably get my kids' beds with no underneath of it.
There you go. That's smart.
Because
I don't think anyone needs an under.
Well,
Who
I
uses
also
an under the
think-
bed?
I also think when I was little, my dad used to like my dad apparently had hid under the bed once and made ET noises to scare me because they knew I was really scared of ET. So I have like bed trauma, apparently.
I used to be scared to look at my window while I was sleeping, so I'd always face the other direction and like cover my head.
I had to
I was
face the
afraid
window when I was little.
Yep, I wouldn't
In
have
case there was
slept.
a fire.
I thought I was scared there was somebody on my like
Oh,
our
shit.
roof looking
yeah. No,
Huh.
mine was in like no one could be.
yeah,
in
no,
mine.
somebody could have been standing on my like roof looking in
that's
my window.
fucking
That was very scary.
Yeah, I was on a second floor growing up. Like if there was a fire, I had a ladder that we kept in my room so that I had to like fling out the
That's
door.
better. My parents would go out and hang from the gutter to drop yourself onto the deck. That was what I was told. Because I'd have to run down the
"Fuck you,
roof
kiddo."
and then hold on to the gutter. Actually, we had a hot tub. They said aim for the hot tub cover.
Oh, was this?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels unsafe.
It's
No one
dude,
will
it's
lay
still
on
just
a
getting
bed
burnt in a
home.
fire. You know?
You
Yeah.
know, pros and cons. But one of my other
Sorry, go ahead.
highs was when Lorraine was in the basement.
Which time? When she falls through?
Fuck, which time was it? Yeah,
I
I
don't
think it
think-
was
When she falls
fell
through, and then there's then
Maybe
she
you
was,
were looking away when she
hanging
got across
body.
stairs,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
That
was
is a
when-
very tense and scary scene that just goes on forever with her in the dark, like looking at the mirror, holding the flashlight, and then finally she first sees the mom, Rory's mom, and is like,
Mhm.
look what she made me do, and then all of a sudden the body drops. I have found that to be one of the scariest scenes for me when I watched it with the legs. Like, sorry, so you see Bathsheba's body is dangling. You only see the legs. You know what I'm talking about, Jason?
Yeah,
They,
yeah. That scene,
slowly rotate. And all of a sudden, you're just like, what's going to happen? And then they just start moving at her. And it's like, there's no, I don't know why it works so well because there's nowhere for the body to go. It would run into things. But because it's like ghosts.
Well, because she started to run away then again,
Yes.
an opportunity.
And then
She
it
should
just-
have stayed right where she was.
But
yeah.
they do a camera trick where even though it seems like it can't go any further towards you, it does. And it just like starts going and it like really creates this like
yeah, well, I do
crazy-
they do some kind of like weird like turn it the one way while she's running down
Yes.
the side, but yeah.
It's
It was shot very nicely.
it is scary. I also was thinking when you said about the bed scene, there's also the scene with the trunk or not trunk, what am I looking- the wardrobe
Yeah.
when you're expecting everything has led us to believe there'll be something in the wardrobe, right? And then
Did the mom
finally
scene happen after? Or was that before?
Mom was before.
after Ooh, before
Mom.
I don't remember which one.
No, mom.
Which mom
when
scene?
when they're playing the
Oh, the
clap
clap game?
Yeah, was that before?
That was before.
Okay, because that was
Everything-
even more
yes.
reason to make you think there was
Yes,
something. in
everything
there,
leads
yeah.
us to believe it should be in the wardrobe, and then they do this incredible moment where you see
You're
the
like, oh no, it's the other sister.
yes, the other sister's looking up, and you're like, why is she looking up? And they have the camera facing the wardrobe. The girl turns around and is like, what? And then they just raise the camera
And there's
quickly,
that shit
and
up
there's
there.
just an I think the first time we've really seen
the face of
her in the face of
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba, the demon witch lady, on there, and she jumps off, and it is just so like,
Yeah.
it's like petrifying. It's
I
really
giggled
good.
really loud.
But yeah, you
In
laughed because you knew
panic.
it was coming.
Yeah, I knew it was
But
coming. And
what I wanted to say was
From under the sheet. Yeah.
I think I said that I felt like Insidious was a bad haunted house. And I feel like this is like a very good, like top-notch haunted house because there's a
Don't
lot of
shake my
similarities. I'm
baby.
sorry, Insidious has moments, but it is in some ways like a low-scale haunted house where
Yeah.
this is like I'm paying good money to get
like
professional
a whole
actors.
basement in there, yeah.
Yeah, going in and walking around. Like I'm talking about like when I go to Eastern State Penitentiary and stuff like that. That one's
Yeah.
not even that good. Or like the Scare House in
No, I was going to
Pittsburgh.
say Eastern State is giving Insidious.
Yes, yeah,
In
the
their
Scare
level
House in
of haunted
Pittsburgh is
house.
giving The Conjuring. It is still like
Huh.
a ride, right? It is still kind of a theme park to some degree, but like it is much better. And I think the scares are, they let you sit longer and like, or let you
That's tough to do
build
in
up
real
the
life.
suspense.
Tough to do in real life.
Correct. And they divert your attention much better to get you to go somewhere and let your guard down to get hit from somewhere else, which good haunted houses do.
It's probably easier and harder to do in real life, yeah. Like once you
The-
get someone kind of hooked, they'd really go in
Yes.
for it. But yeah.
The good haunted houses I've been into, they'll get you in a room and they'll draw all of your attention to one spot and then they hit you from the side. It's like
Yeah.
Raptors in Jurassic Park.
That definitely happened to me at Eastern State.
Yeah. Eastern State's okay.
No,
But-
there was just that one room where he like snuck up on me because I was looking over my one shoulder, like, oh my
Looking-
god, and
yeah.
he came at me
That's
from the other
how
shoulder.
good scares can be made in those situations. Tension's a little hard to do in real life, I agree.
I was tense.
Yeah.
But this movie it hits all of I think the important like haunted house horror notes, which is like the actual scares and the diverting your gaze, the actual suspense and tension, and like this movie also has heart, which then adds this whole other element, which is fun.
It does. A lot of it, yeah.
Just general thoughts. We're kind of already getting into it.
We did not finish the count.
Oh, sorry.
Buster.
My bad. I'm getting excited. I'm gushing over the movie.
The scream count I was surprised because I thought the screams would be all me, and there were 5, and 1 was Jason, and I felt so good about
Which
that.
scene was it? Did I already talk about it?
I don't think so. No, it was the one with the noose when she had the noose.
Oh,
and
that
then
was
the
so
floorboards
funny. It
broke
wasn't
out.
even that
Oh, when
scary.
she fell through the floor.
Yeah, it wasn't even that scary. I was just like, oh man. I was just like, they've been building it up.
Yeah, it's when she finds the news.
The mom's
like,
dead.
The
Oh no, it wasn't mine. It was Lorraine, right? Yeah, it was.
She goes
Yeah,
right through the
Lorraine's
floor.
dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's getting hung by the bottom. Yeah, but
Oh, yeah,
she
you
didn't.
thought she was gonna like
I
get
thought she was
broken.
dead. Yeah.
Oh my-
He like squealed,
That'd be
and I
crazy.
did not anticipate it at all. It was so funny. This is definitely my jumpiest movie so far. Like, where I physically thought my
Not
heart
Insidious?
was going to beat out of
okay.
my chest. Like, over and over and over again. But I had 3 extremely bad flinches where I, like, really moved at least 6 inches.
Well, that's a good count. I had no screams. I think I had a couple like little like I'm excited things are going to happen
Yeah.
because I've seen it. But
I had a
this
lot
movie
of
scared
like,
me.
panic laughing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like, screaming. Like, I knew it was going to happen, so I, like, laughed.
Just thought about the first time we see a movie in theaters for this podcast, it's going to be impossible to do the
Oh,
hide
yeah,
count.
not to count.
And there'll be more hides from both of us, I think.
Probably.
You have to have a little clicker in your pocket so you can take it around.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
that's a good idea.
Statistically, I think, like, the Babadook had a lot of, like, hides and jumps, but that's because we had Preston. So I think, like, per person, which I know in this case is all me, I think this might be the scariest movie so far, statistically.
Oh,
I'd have to count. It's just a feeling. I don't remember the numbers being higher.
I should think about that.
I feel like with Insidious, these 2 are pretty...
Scares are
Up
so
there.
different. And every
Scares are
movie
so
watch different. It's
subjective.
it's
Yeah.
tough to pick. But all right, does that put us in
One
the general
good scare is
thoughts?
worth a few bad scares. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that like doesn't have these
It's not jumpy,
same moments, but like
it's-
it gets into my brain a little bit more because there are just moments where it's very real fear.
Yeah.
And so it's just completely different. It's hard to like rate, and then it all depends on what scares you the most.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we can move into general thoughts, though.
I like this movie. I think it's good. I did not love it the first time I saw it, and I was being dumb,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
I
really get
continued
that.
to. I don't know. I was
Were you just
distracted.
trying to be like, yeah,
I was too
you're on your
distracted being on my
date.
date, my first
like,
date, or
trying to
whatever it
hold-
was.
Oh, were you trying to like hold her hand and shit? So you're
Yeah.
like worried about that?
Funny story too. I was 18 and she was 17, and we didn't realize she wouldn't be able to get in because it was rated R. And so we had to buy tickets for grown-ups too, and then sneak into The Conjuring.
I did that once
Isn't
to
that
get
great?
into a really bad movie that was rated R.
And
Gangster Squad? Isn't that bad?
I
Oh,
never
for-
saw it. I don't think
Yeah.
it's got Gosling
I was
in it. Right?
not allowed to get into that one, so we bought it for another movie.
Love that.
Well,
Classic.
for Sinister or whatever, yeah, my mom bought me, Tyler, Joe, and maybe Kerr. I forget who else. Tickets, and then left. Didn't go in the theater. Then we got kicked out like 5 minutes in. So then we called my mom back, and she had
She
to
had
come
to come
in.
watch.
And she like sat in the
Oh,
back and
that's
watched
funny.
the movie too. Like,
That movie.
the guy like 10 minutes in there was like, "Where's the person like
I
of
find
age
that
that
movie
bought all you these tickets?" And we're like, "Not here," and then they kicked us out. Yeah.
Girlfriend Bounce.
I was saying,
But-
I think Sinister's scary. I've only seen it a couple times, and I don't think it's
Yeah.
good. I don't think it's a very good movie. I think it has some very good scares.
That's a very good scares. Yeah,
The
like, that was,
lawnmower.
yeah,
The lawnmower. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah. That was.
Do you remember that?
No.
Where you
I
did
only
just-
saw it once, and I
Jason,
did
you can tell her about it. Or I'll
didn't retain.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but
Basically,
yeah.
there's a shot where it's like a handheld camera, and the kid's pushing his lawnmower, and you're like, "What's going on there?" It's Ethan Hawke's watching the footage of this,
Yeah, I know.
and all of a sudden,
Does he
there's
kill himself?
no. He runs
The
over his
lawnmower?
parents.
Oh,
all of a sudden, you
shit.
just see their heads go under the lawnmower, and
Sick
it's like
as fuck,
so
dog.
scary. And Ethan Hawke freaks out. Kind of,
Countryside is very scary.
yeah. Also, getting run over by a lawnmower is very scary.
Oh,
That's like
I think
real
it's
I know
genuine
that was the
fear.
part you were referring to.
That's like Final Destination stuff, like a lawnmower is the biggest killer in that.
Yeah.
franchise.
I said something being rated R, and I had a note that I should say that this movie is rated R, and it had no swearing basically,
Mhm.
and no really blood and gore.
Yeah,
And I
the one
remember being
bite
a
and that
big
was it,
deal.
yeah.
I remember being a huge deal that made me really excited to see this. It was rated R just because it was scary. It was like so scary.
It was,
I
like,
need to look and
violence.
see. Did it say violence too? Did you see exactly? There's not
I
much.
did not look it up. I'm just guessing.
There's not much violence, but
No, not really. I mean, there's people
That's
getting
just
tossed
my
in the walls and
assumption.
stuff, but they don't really
Yeah.
get nearly as hurt as they should have from all that. But which is fine, yeah. But that didn't even look that violent. Yeah.
it says frequent explicit violence, I guess. But I think it's also because it's children. But then frequent nightmarish imagery,
This
which is
article-
really cool.
Yeah, this article says
Nightmarish
rated,
imagery. That's
Yeah.
a fun one that you want to
To
get
be
rated
R
R.
for. Yeah.
This article says rated R for sequences of disturbing violence and terror.
That's
I
so
was
cool.
terrified.
There's not much
You
violence.
nailed
There's
it.
threat of nobody,
Yeah, there's no
Gets-
sex, there's no cursing,
and nobody dies.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that too. Is like,
Well, it's like that under the bed scene. Those are the
Yeah.
scenes you don't want a 13-year-old to watch and then actually get terrified of looking
Yeah.
underneath the bed. Yeah.
but I'm saying I'm
Yeah.
shocked. I didn't think about it till later that nobody in this movie dies.
Hmm.
Which like kind of blows my mind because like I think I said before, like you need some stakes in movies. Sometimes I want somebody to like die. I said about another
About
movie
the
we
dog.
watched. The dog, you're right. But it's like there's no real tension. No one died, but it didn't matter in this one because the scares are so good. And you're so worried about these like little girls that even though nobody dies, you like feel the real fear and tension that they could.
That
And then
Yeah.
one almost
first
does.
third of that movie does not let up.
No, it
Not
is
at all, yeah.
brutal. All right,
Yeah.
I said I liked it. I want to talk about the thirds, but what are your thoughts,
I liked
Anna?
it.
Just I liked it. Any reasons why?
Great movie. I have a lot of reasons why.
Oh, okay.
I
We're gonna
liked
go in.
it.
And Jason, not a horror movie fan.
My favorite horror movie. I haven't seen many, but yeah.
It is now your favorite.
Yeah.
That's
Nailed
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We picked a good one for you then. Now we have to try to knock it off its perch.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
gotta
it-
pick better ones.
yeah.
That's awesome. This could be your gateway because I've often described this movie as the
Honestly, maybe. Yeah. It was, I did
Gets you
leave
there.
that.
But I found
Yeah.
this movie to be the like part of the big renaissance of horror movies that we saw from like 2010s into 2020s now.
Mhm.
And I know I said the two beforehand where it kind of felt like we were in a little the 2000s were
Was that Paranormal Activity?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
There were good movies around the time, but there were still some like kind of slugs. The movies were very mean, which can be fun sometimes, but like
What do you mean by mean?
they were very not there were no happy endings. They
Okay.
had to end mean and end bad. They're pretty like unforgiving in certain ways. It definitely can not every movie, but that's how I
I
remember
guess I'm not
it.
a fan of the happy ending movies, but I guess it worked in that one. Yeah, maybe horror movies are the ones where
If
they're
you earn
okay to have it. Yeah,
But
well, they get through enough of a slog through the whole movie. Yeah,
I think there was also a lot of cash grabs in the 2010s with horror. There still are, but we did
Mhm.
run it. We did run in without Hereditary, or excuse me, without The Conjuring. I don't think we end up getting, honestly, Get Out. Any Jordan Peele movies, we don't end up getting Hereditary, Midsummer, things like that, because they like kind of started perfecting this low budget thing. Because I think Blumhouse kind of came from these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's which Blumhouse has perfected the low budget horror. That's actually
Blumhouse?
Blumhouse. It's
Blumhouse.
Jason
Production.
Blum's production company.
Oh, okay.
I think Insidious isn't Blumhouse because Blumhouse didn't exist, but I think
The
it's,
Conjuring is. Now I'm not positive.
I don't
Either
know
way,
what The
I know.
Conjuring is, but Insidious
I know
was
it's Warner
definitely
Brothers.
produced by Jason Blum and James Wan.
Okay.
Oh,
Then they might not be
So it's
exactly,
like
but it's still
OG
kind of
Blumhouse,
in
but
that.
not-
Yeah.
Blumhouse. And I know we talked in that episode, but Insidious was made on no money. I think their filming budget was $800,000, and the total budget of the movie was maybe $1.5 million. I could be lying because we
That's
did
not a
that
lot, yeah.
a bit ago, but yeah.
I'll have to look it up. But so tell me, Hannah, you want to get into why
What
you like
worked?
what works?
I think the setup of this movie is so good. They start with the Annabelle bit, which kind of like leads you. It's like a briefcase that basically tells you like what to expect from the movie, which I think is really fun. I think every detail, a lot of the scares, I'm not going to say every detail, but all of the scares in that first third of the movie are set up very well. The clap game, the dog won't come inside, the kids saying the basement smells. They show us the piano, they show us the ball in the
Put the
basement.
matches on there for
The
that was later in the
matches
movie,
fall.
but yeah.
So all of those things are very early set up and they all pay off. Like those very small details that might just seem like a world building detail, they all play off in a scare later, which I think is really fun, and you don't see that like a movie that thoughtful all the time, especially in this genre. So I loved that. I also think that they set up the
I think
Warrens.
it'd be horror 101, but I guess not.
Yeah, it's not. I think the Warrens are set up extremely well. Like we said, as very likable characters in their, not their first scene, but earlier in the movie when they're doing like their little class.
I wasn't sure how that came into play, and then the mom shows up at the class. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like, aha! So in their first class, they talk about how they're demonologists, but they have other names, like they could go by paranormal investigator, and then they go kook, wacko, and I thought that was, like, again, like a cute way of making them seem like likable and relatable, and like they know that this is silly, but they, you know, are doing the right thing regardless of the fact that people might not believe them, and I think their setup as characters is great. I think the movie does a great job of fostering relationships between all of the characters, and there's so many that I think it's really impressive that they're able to do that. I think the first third of the movie, there are no breaks in scares. That shit just keeps... It's a train that keeps on running.
And it works. Sometimes that doesn't work and you get like bored by it. But in this one, I don't know. There's just enough calm moments that the scares, like, I keep coming in a way that I'm still scared. But I think you said it before too. The scares are different.
They are a little bit different. Yeah. What was my quote? Yeah. I was feeling exactly how the movie wanted me to feel. I feel like every single scene, like you're looking at the kids, then you get the mom and dad, and then that's like the way they bounce around. Yeah.
Made you laugh when I wanted you to laugh.
Did.
Oh, yeah. The
humor is funny.
The humor is great. And I think the humor comes into play kind of in the middle of the movie more so than the beginning, which I think is really helpful because it's when you need a break. Mm-hmm. Because there's like that chunk of time where it just gets you nonstop.
It's also because they're separate.
Having a couple scenes that like bring you joy.
I'm saying it's because they're separate. The Warrens and the parents are separate. And when they're together, it's like, oh, this is happy. Like, this is like good. Family's good, right? And then Act 3 is kind of when they re-separate, right? Because Bob Shiva figures out how to kind of split them a little bit more. Also because they leave to get the exorcism approved and everything. But then that's like when shit hits the fan. And they got to come back together to fix it. I also got to issue a correction because you're right, this wasn't Blumhouse, but Paranormal Activity was the start of Blumhouse.
Oh, shit.
After talking shit on it. However, I would say that Insidious was one of their bigger first ones. So maybe that actually led this kind of renaissance. And maybe The Conjuring was the proof to me that it was like here. But Insidious gave James Wan, not his start, but like more of the start in this paranormal horror. And I think that kind of led to
his name out there in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. But then from then on, you get The Purge, which I've actually not seen. But then you get...
I enjoyed The Purge.
Split, Get Out, Happy Death Day.
You did that too?
You get a lot. There's a lot of fun stuff that they made, though. And I feel like that kind of did prove that we could do this. Now you get The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke that came out. Oh, Sinister as well was Blumhouse.
Yeah, I knew Sinister was Blumhouse.
But yeah, I think it really helped. And then again, you get
half of the bit.
A24 decides they're also going to get in on, do kind of some more art house horror. So sorry to derail again, but just wanted to correction and not be stupid. I don't want to get angry commenters.
Yeah, no misinformation if you can't.
About things you don't know about.
Well, that's kind of the point of the podcast, isn't it?
No.
All right, sorry. Continue,
I like
Hannah.
to try and admit when I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I thought I did.
Or when I know my sources are garbage. Also, sources-wise, let's be real, we use Wikipedia in this household.
It's a great source.
One of the better. Yeah.
Well, because then you can look on Wikipedia and see what their sources were.
No, Wikipedia is great. We stand by it.
That's
write your English papers using
whenever
Wikipedia.
I wrote papers, I would use the sources that Wikipedia is citing.
Mm-hmm.
Genius.
Someone went through more work than me just going on Google to find something.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of the movie, not of the movie, but of the movie watching experience, where Jason in the middle of the movie goes, I don't get the appeal of any of this. And I was like, well, how are you feeling? And he said, uneasy. We were like, you nailed it.
Yeah. As you said, it made you feel exactly how you wanted to feel.
Yeah. Like, that is the point, my man. So what did you like, Jason?
Or what did you think it did well?
I did like it a lot, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Jason's like, I can't articulate why. I just did.
I mean, I guess the feeling. Yeah, it was just the vibe of the whole movie. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, you're onto something with the feelings, how it makes you feel, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just had a good, solid character development in like a sub 2 hour movie. Like, no complaints there. Yeah, I mean, as you were going with, like, the characters never really did anything too stupid. There's definitely a couple moments where they definitely like didn't have the buddy system in place, which I feel like should be step 0 of like investigating a haunted house. Never go anywhere alone. But like I don't know.
A
what
solid
do I know?
point.
But,
you yelled that when the cop went off on his own. You were like, "Why isn't he using the buddy system?"
I also like how they kind of brought in all the cameras. Like they took it serious that like they were investigating a haunting, and like just the way that they handled the whole movie was just believable enough to still have some fun with it. But like, I could buy it. Yeah.
I think the aesthetic of this movie, that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about vibes. I think the aesthetic of the movie is great. I think it's shot really well. And I think Matt will probably elaborate on the shots. So stylistically, I think it's great. I also just love the costumes. Like the outfits are...
The outfits are awesome.
Sick as fuck.
The sideburns.
The sideburns. Yeah, it's all just
the one guy's shirt. Yeah, right out of the 1970s.
Yeah. The bug. Or the Volkswagen van.
The van.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Vibes.
They used Ryan Gosling's band song.
That was actually my favorite part of the movie. Was the Dead Man's Bones. Because we are Ryan Gosling stans in this household.
Nice Guys is one of my favorite movies ever.
Barbie's going to be my new favorite movie. Haven't seen it yet.
You're dating the podcast.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, it is coming out tomorrow, right. I guess, can I gush about this now?
Go ahead. It's your turn, buddy.
This movie looks great. Especially, I keep comparing to Insidious because I was a little disappointed in it. It's just like everything, you get the fun James Wan tricks. He doesn't throw too many in, but he does his little like stylistic stuff. Like there's a scene with Lorraine feeling things in the basement, and they do this weird like 360 shot around her as she's like kind of so focused in on what's happening that everything's black around her, and all of a sudden everything else comes into like color and into view. I think just overall it's shot great, and like I said, his flares are not distracting. They add to the film. I don't know how to describe his flares, but it's more just when he does some cool shots, spins the camera upside down, does some weird zooms. It adds to the uneasiness.
The thing in the mirror, like right? When I was showing the person.
I love mirror shots. Yeah. Love mirror shots. I think the sound is much better, and they let you sit in the theater without playing audio stings at you 24/7, which I think is good. They use them sometimes, but they use them at the right time. And I could probably talk about the way it looks all day. I think the thing that really sells me is, like I said before, this movie has heart, and I like really care about the characters, like you were saying, Jason. And I think it also does this cool thing of where horror movies typically can't last more than 90 minutes. Even then, it's really difficult because horror is really best in short form or in video games, but that's another story. And what this does to fix that, I think, is it does separate into 3 very distinct acts and a prologue. Prologue being Annabelle. Act 1 is very much your run-of-the-mill haunted house, families being haunted story, right? Act 2 is like the investigation, right? You get kind of the reprieve, the fun. It's still scary and you still have these scares, but they're all together. And Act 3 basically becomes an action movie.
Yeah.
With an exorcism action movie. And it like ties it up like right when you would almost be getting bored with each act or each like part of the movie. It changes just enough. And when you get to the action movie part, it is so fun. And I feel like that normally would be goofy as shit, but it works so well for me because everything else is built up at the point when they're like, somebody's
mom took the kids. Like,
mom takes the kids.
You're
like,
totally
oh
believe
shit!
It. I'm like, oh, yep. They're doing it all over again.
It's a race against the clock. But then they get there and they're like, no, we can't get a priest here in time. And then they have this hero shot, and it's just like, I can do it. I can do the exorcism, and it's like, yeah, you fucking can. Let's go! Like I get so hyped. Sorry, I'm yelling, but I'm like all behind it. Like you said, he gets his hero shot, and that whole scene is like crazy or spitting blood, spinning around, and then it all gets kind of a neat bow. And you feel happy, you feel good about it.
Yeah,
it's I don't know. I could gush. That's my rant, but I think that's the big selling point. Is like there is something here for everybody. Not every type of horror is touched, but multiple different types are, and it's wrapped up in a way that you care about the family and you care about both families. So, what's up? I'm talking.
Can I talk about? No, that's totally fine. Can I talk about what didn't work for me? Because you kind of brought it up.
Yeah.
I don't like the third act.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think, and it's mostly because I don't think it's scary, and I don't buy it.
Damn. I think I wouldn't had the work not been done prior to like get me there. And I don't know if I can even describe what the work is. It builds up to a point where I'm like, yeah,
my issue with like not buying it is that
I don't exactly know why, but yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like, everything, like the way they brought up the curse, the mom killing possessing the thing, everything,
built to. I just thinking about it as a real story. And I feel like I'm like about to bring like a demon into my home by being like, I don't buy it. I don't know. It's just like extremely dramatic. And I
for sure.
don't find it scary. Like I don't find the last bit that tense. I think it's tense when she's like under the house looking for her daughter.
And you see Bathsheba's real face.
I don't think the actual bit where she's tied to the chair and they're trying to exorcise her.
I don't find it scary either. I think it's fun.
And I guess I just don't find it as fun.
That's why you don't like Malignant. The third act of this is like most similar to Malignant.
And I fucking hate Malignant. Like I don't, the vibes are not there for me.
I don't know. I understand. Honestly, like, I respect your opinion.
Anything that detracts this movie, like points from this movie, is probably the third act for you.
But where would you go? I feel like it's just the natural terminus.
And also that's what happened.
Well, yeah, it didn't happen. So, I wish it happened. It's way cooler. I will say there is one scare that kept me up at night with this movie that happens in Act 3, and it's when he yells Bathsheba's name, and the mom turns, and they do this weird jump cut, right? Like where it's facing, and it's actually the witch's face now, and she just stares at him. Scares the shit out of me. I like see that face in my head at night. So they did a good job.
My favorite part, I will say my favorite part of Act 3 is when he goes, show yourself, and her face rips through the sheet.
Oh, that's good too.
That was a good shot. Yeah.
That shit is good.
Yeah. He does such a good job. Well, I lost the actor's name again.
Patrick Wilson.
That's what I thought, Patrick Wilson. He is bomb in this movie.
Yeah, he's
like he shows some of the fear Jason kept saying, like, "Oh, first time jitters."
Oh yeah, the first time exorcism jitters were bad, and we were like, "Keep going, Ed."
Yeah, but he kept going through
it. She stops talking. All right, pack it all.
Yeah,
we did it, boys.
Straight kills.
I've been ready to jump into themes, but I forgot we talked about that last, so we'll get to that. Jason, is there anything that Hannah? Sorry, anything else that didn't work for you?
No, honestly, it was all
just Act 3.
Yeah, I don't know what my problem is. I found that every time I watch this movie,
corny.
I like. Yeah,
it's
I
corny.
guess
it
I
is.
just.
But you can get away. You can get
me.
away with corny if you do the groundwork, and I think everyone's threshold is different.
Does do the groundwork? That's why I don't get my problem.
It's like why the Batman is super. I love the Batman. Super fucking corny, right? Like. Yeah, well, but that movie is like so melodramatic, but you don't even realize it. But like some people didn't like it for that reason, right? I love that movie, but it is like kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of hidden. The goofiness is hidden. This goofiness is also kind of hidden, but it's like it does that work. But
anything you didn't like? I feel like you love it.
I really, you know what? There were a couple times where I felt like the parents' acting was subpar.
Did you say parents or parents?
Not Ed and Lorraine, and the parents.
Yeah, the parents. The parents.
The children were fine.
I thought mom was nailing it.
It was in Act 1 early on.
Okay.
There were moments where I was like, this seems like Hallmarky. And I don't know if that's what they were going for because it was supposed to be Happy Family.
Yeah, I think it is.
And that was my only complaint. And then I said, I'm going to be over this because I know by the end they're kind of crushing.
Third act, mom is doing the work.
Mom's doing a lot of work.
Mom and Patrick Wilson.
Ron Livingston, too. That's Yeah. I really like him, and I kind of wish he had more to do in this as well. But he's really sweet. He plays this like sweet dad. And,
he's matching the vibes perfectly.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything, I can complain too much about. I was going to say I kind of think the color is a little undersaturated again, but then they do these awesome shots with the
vibing.
They do great shots with the fire, like the matches and everything.
The lighting's really good, but the color
negative space is good.
I feel like the color scheme kind of was dating it a little bit.
I think so too.
It was trying to contribute to like
it's better than Insidious' color scheme.
Yeah.
So I can't complain too much. It's tough because I don't feel like this movie gets a perfect 10 out of 10 for me, but I can't really say why. Yeah. You know how it is.
It's in your top 5.
I find it to just be so important to me and important to like the horror industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because the movie had to make a ton of money, right? I don't know. I don't want to talk into my ass again. Maybe not a ton, but I feel like it had to.
I think this and Insidious made bank. I mean, this had to have made bank for them to make how many more movies in the Conjuring franchise?
Yeah.
Maybe
I spent nothing on
you mean the Warren Cinematic Universe.
It's called I think it's called the Conjuring Universe, because not all of them have the
It was also
Warrens.
so dumb that they named the second one The Conjuring 2.
Whatever.
Like, the naming scheme, whatever producer made that
there's
happen.
not anything in this movie that would lead me to believe the name would be The Conjuring.
I just assumed that this was The Conjuring, and then the next one would be whatever what was that haunting called? The Haunting of, I can't remember, it's in the UK, but...
Enfield,
Poltergeist. That's what it was. You'd call that one that. I don't know.
No, I like that they're connected.
Call it a
them.
Warren story, Enfield Poltergeist. A Warren story.
It's not as fun.
I think it's more fun.
All right, so the names.
The name, yeah.
Matt says no.
But no, I think, everything else, I don't think I have anything too much to complain about.
Jason, anything you didn't like?
I don't think so. No, I mean...
You hit all the notes for it.
That's so funny.
I mean, I haven't seen very many horror movies, so, I don't think it would take much to hit my, horror movie notes, but, I thought it was
Jason was going to out-logic the movie and shit-talk it.
You bitch about movies.
There were a couple things. There's just the buddy system was really the main thing, but, I don't know. I like the thermometer next to the camera, shooting them off. I don't know.
Jason was just in on all of it. I'm mad. We got to pretend like a really shitty movie or a movie we like.
He makes a good point, though, that you cannot logic it, because they actually, for the most part, make good decisions. And I try not to bitch about movie logic because, they're trying to tell a story. I get it. People make bad decisions. So, but this one, you're right. There's nothing to really be that mad about.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just leaving the house in general. But, I mean, even the first thing they said was, it's on you guys. It's not even a house. So no matter where you go, it's not going to help. Yep. So then they all got in the one room in the house and were just... toughing it out on the first floor, so that was cool. Yeah.
I feel like that has to be... Again, I don't know much about, demonology, but I know Ed and Lorraine have said that for a ton of cases, where they're like, you can't leave, the demon will follow you.
Oh my god, they're such
is that maybe to keep them inside to keep them in the house and keep it going? Yeah, maybe.
I didn't think about that until now. Holy shit.
That makes
we got to get away from that, because it ruins the whole theme talk if we talk about the real... the real Ed and Lorraine. All right. Favorite scenes? Favorite scene per person?
I do really love the wardrobe. When she jumps off the wardrobe, I just laughed hysterically.
When the witch jumps off?
Yeah. That shit.
That whole build up. They set that up through the whole first half of the movie too.
It also brings me a lot of joy with all of the scenes with Mom and the clap game.
Hand clap.
Yeah. When she's in the basement, it's want to play? And then the hands come out and clap by her ear. The first time I saw that, I lost my...
That was in all the trailers,
marbles.
too, and it was still horrific.
I lost my marbles, and that... I remember that summer, you would do that to me all the time. And it was fucked up.
I see the cluck from... what's it called? Hereditary, too. That really got you mad.
Yeah.
That's going to be so obnoxious on the recording. Jason, you got a favorite scene?
I was gonna say probably the one of when Lorraine goes into the crawl space and finds all that stuff, puts the toy back, finds the noose.
So the scene that you
scream.
Yeah, that one hit me. I did also really like the one clap game where she plays with the one daughter, and then the hands come out of the wardrobe and do so the other clap scene like that.
I love that they show it. They show the hands.
They do.
They're not cowards. They don't just have it in there.
She's got the blindfold on, so you could, the actor isn't, seeing it, so you could see it. Yeah.
What about you?
I think mine, and this was weird because it stood out, and I wrote about it. We talked about what we were watching. Is when they're recording. The cop is running the old handheld, and they go to the handheld vision, and Ed has the mic, and the audio of the movie goes through the mic. And I don't know if it's I like it because I think that's just a really cool idea to do our audio as the same audio that they're hearing when he kind of runs it along the pipes, and so you hear the water running through the pipes. He gets it near the furnace, and you start hearing that, and it's very dark and tense, and kind of gives you a little found footage vibe, which I only really like one or two found footage movies. I think a lot of them are gimmicky, but when they're done well, they're really scary. Yeah, Wreck. Well, we got to talk about Wreck because Wreck at some point is the best found
I
footage
can't wait
movie.
to break press.
That movie is
Wreck.
horrific. If you ever want to watch that one, Jason. But I don't know, something about it was really clever, and like it always ends up them putting the danger behind the camera, which then makes me feel like the danger's behind me as the viewer, which I've talked about before a lot because they're walking up the stairs and everything was behind, and then the piano starts making noise and they flip back around, and it's just like you feel like you're part of the danger there. And I don't know if it's the scariest. I just think like from a technical standpoint, from a really from a filmmaking standpoint, I really enjoyed the microphone thing, and it feels real. It feels like, the real Warrens are there investigating the house, and now you're along for the ride. Yeah. And that's really cool. So that's my fave. Cool.
I'm glad you brought that scene up because I had a lot of fun with that one too.
Yeah, it's just neat. A whole film like that is tough to do. Except for Wreck.
Gotta really commit.
Yeah, Wreck is Spanish film, Jason. It is crazy. It's so good. They tried to remake it in the U.S. and called it Quarantine, and it's not good. But Wreck is...
Oh, I didn't know that was... Okay.
Quarantine's an American remake.
I guess it makes sense based off the name, but I wouldn't have...
Not nearly as good. Stop doing that. Stop doing American remakes. That's
I'm so nervous
dumb.
for whatever Train to Busan in America turns into, since we don't have fucking trains.
We don't have high-speed rail, which is like the entire point.
Yeah, so that's going to be something.
We have trains, but it's going to be slow-moving.
Not like that.
They're going to be on SEPTA or whatever.
They're literally going to be in like the New York subway.
Or the Amtrak or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's at least a little high speed, right? 30th Street Station.
Some of them.
I think that one gets a little faster.
Yeah.
Oh my
they
God.
move it, but not like...
Yeah, where they're going to go from New York to Philly. And,
that's going to be the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's New York to Philly. That would be long enough.
You know what? That
It's a
might work.
70-minute train
That'd be
ride,
cool.
70-minute movie.
If you go to New York during a zombie apocalypse, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
That's the problem.
or Philly. There's nowhere to go.
The only trains going are into the city. I guess you can take them.
I guess that would actually kind of work because the stops would be all in like rural New Jersey. Not rural, but like northern New Jersey, and it would be...
Well,
anyway.
Time to talk about themes, purpose.
What do you think the movie's trying to do, Jason?
Oh boy.
Other than scare you.
Well, you can also you can think about it. But for me, I think the movie's definitely trying to be propaganda for the Warrens. I think this movie has helped rehabilitate their image so much because I did not know a lot of the shitty things
I didn't know
that
they
they've
existed, though.
done or said. But like a lot of people who were in that time did. Yeah, they definitely sold a shit ton of books. They made money off these. Well, she made money because he was deceased at that point. And I think it definitely helped from the people who did know their name and had a lot of criticism of them. Obviously, this movie's going to make you, like, bring that back into light, the criticisms with the true, like, if it's true or not. But I think at the same time, it really helps their personal image.
The problem is the movie rocks. So I also...
I buy it.
You know what? I want this movie. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. She can have her money because this movie's awesome.
The movie's
and I'm
great.
happy
And
it
I
exists.
want them to be... Like, I want to imagine that they were in as much love as they're shown in the movie. Like, I love their fictional selves.
Yeah.
And that's, again, why I think it's propaganda. Like, it worked for me. I wouldn't have had any idea had I not, like, heard that on a podcast and looked into it.
Can I talk about mine a little bit?
That's not my only thing.
Oh, that's your only thing?
No,
okay. We'll jump over me. I'll talk about themes a little because I think I'm not seeing too much like subtext into this that's like trying to tell too much of a story beyond. But I think, and I joke saying that family is a big theme, but it really is. And I think it's really good writing to have the Warrens at a crossroads as well. Obviously, the family's at a crossroads, right? They're in this shit situation. They need help. Their family is like not broken, but will be broken. And that's the whole point is they need to be like strong together. The Warrens are in a similar spot. They're not helping families right now because Lorraine had a bad thing go on in Exorcist and they kind of ruined that in The Conjuring too.
Yeah.
But whatever. She had like a bad experience with Exorcist, didn't eat or, and locked herself in a room for 8 days. And clearly like Ed is trying to protect her and is like, I need to do this without you, right? Like, I need you to be alone so I can protect, because he can't protect her, right? He needs her to just not be there. And they wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for the family having daughters, right? They have their own daughters. They've drawn to families because they want to fix it. And it doesn't really come until Act 3 that they have their character arc where Lorraine's like, no, like, you need me. We were put on this earth to do this together. And their family unit is now repaired, right? which they've been preaching that the whole time to repair your family unit.
Well, is it? I mean, at the end, the haunting in their house, though.
No. That was Bathsheba that was haunting in their house.
Yeah.
From there, she's fine. They exorcised her.
Yeah, I mean, that's
so they don't
the
have to worry
spirit that
about
they
that.
later exorcised.
Mm.
And then basically
yeah.
the implication was because her necklace was in the basement.
Yeah, and it's all just to make it link. And
that definitely.
But that's probably
Highly
why,
doubt
as
that
part of it, is
happened.
their daughter's in trouble because they are probably not around her enough because they're doing this, but also they're, again, been put on this earth to help these other families, which they do. And I think that's like that's what ultimately defeats Bathsheba, the witch, is like they convince mom that family's important, right? But also Ed and Lorraine come back together and like no, we have to do this together and like link back up. And I think it's really well done and parallels everything very well. And like that's, I think, another reason that Act 3 works very well is because they have that's kind of some of that groundwork, right? That lays the family groundwork. It's kind of like the Mission Impossible movies too. You know?
You're going to be talking nonstop about that until you see
the new one.
The new one.
Yeah. No, but for real, that's like there's similar scenes in that movie. Ethan's always trying to protect his
cool your tits.
He's
buddy.
trying to protect
Wrong
his
genre.
squad. I got to go into it. He's trying to protect
Genre.
his squad, and they can handle themselves. They work best as a unit. He's all. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
What do you think this movie is saying? And it might not be like deliberately, but is saying about gender. I was just thinking about that because Ed is very much trying to be like macho man, like I want to protect you and all this shit.
But he's wrong.
But he's wrong.
So I think it actually. I mean, Lorraine's a badass.
No, Lorraine
And
is
Mom-
a badass. That's what I'm
Parent Mom's
saying.
also a
I
badass.
guess with the other family, the parents' family, like I wonder if there's anything there. Because mom is the one who's weakened and fragile, but then she's the one who has to overcome it, like internally.
Correct,
you know?
and they originally say that they're going to go after the weak and fragile, and that's not true with this demon. This demon specifically
Goes after women.
or which specifically goes after moms to kill the child.
Yeah.
That's her whole thing. So I don't think it's deliberately saying mom is like weak, but mom does overcome, right? Like the whole thing is family is important. Lorraine helps her like see the family, remember that happy day on the beach. And then they are kind of actually broken now that I think about it because they've moved into this new house. The daughters are not all happy that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Their life is a little bit tough, right? They've like tied everything up and they're like definitely at a crossroads.
A little bit, yeah.
So I don't know if
it's also hard
weak.
like the first day the scaring starts. You know,
Yeah,
we see the disarray of the family, you know, from their own causes. Pretty much the first day they get there, they start getting the bruises and stuff. So it's kind of hard to tell what is the family being disjointed and what is just them not sleeping
true.
well.
For sure.
That's true.
But yeah.
For sure. But the demon's goal is to separate them.
Yeah.
Right? And kind of. So that's why the Warrens come in and fix the cars and help the kids and like do that stuff because that's what they say.
Was so cute.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's
Also,
really
Patrick
good.
Wilson is
A lesser director would have cut that out, or a lesser writer would have cut that out. But it's like it's critical to tell this story and make us buy everything else later. That's my thought. But that's the main thing I see is really that whole family thing and the parallels, which is why while I was watching this and I noticed that, I was like, oh, they shouldn't have made any more of these. Because Ed and Lorraine's characters, not in real life, but their character story had their arc. Right? They kind of end up just retreading the same exact thing in the next movie, but they've already had that.
But
like they've already gotten to that
They
point.
made money and it was fun. And the second one is fun.
It is scary, but from a storytelling and writing standpoint, I don't think it's the right call.
Bank.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Homies.
I'm all about them getting that bag, but you know. Jason, you got any thoughts?
No, I mean he probably described the plot better. Well, yeah, I mean what the meaning of the I
kind of went on a tangent.
I didn't really
sorry.
get much from it. Then I don't know. It was a scary movie. They had a monster and they got rid of the monster,
and that's fine. Yeah. That's the text.
Sometimes that is just what it's gonna be.
Yeah. Like you said, I don't see too much.
I don't think there was too much more to it than that.
I don't either.
There are plenty that are, and that's okay. This one works.
That's why I was asking about gender because I was kind of. I mean, I think most things inadvertently say something about gender roles. That's why I bring it up a lot.
Kind of hard not
to. Like they could have had all sons. I don't think anything would have been different.
Sure. I think it's more about like mom though. And like, I don't know if I see.
And power of the
no, there's a lot of badass women though. Bathsheba's a badass woman. Lorraine's a badass woman. Like.
Sure. Yeah.
No, there is. Because I mean, it is really about moms. And maybe that's because that's like a very sacred relationship in families. Like the motherly figure. And maybe maybe it is saying women are badass though too, because clearly like moms are the head of the family, almost are the keystone of the family. Is more what they're probably saying. They hold everything together. And so Bathsheba just trying to kill her 7-day-old baby is like a insane, crazy thing to do. You know, it's unheard of. So that's probably the way I would read that.
I also like wish it would be easier to look into this real person, which I guess
I've tried before.
Yeah,
it's too old.
And just because,
well, she was tried as a witch. I imagine they burned all that
that's
stuff
the
too.
Thing is that like the Salem witch trials and witchcraft. We've talked about this on the pod, and also we've studied it in school. A lot of people accused of witchcraft were just women being women's.
Well, she in the story wasn't accused, though.
Yeah,
she wasn't accused. Her sister was accused.
Said that she is a witch.
Yeah, she just said she was, and then killed herself and jumped from the tree, right?
Yeah, that's what's like. That is interesting. I'm like, I don't know. Are we stigmatizing? I don't know.
It's probably better for it to be that, she was burned at the stake or she was executed by...
Yeah, I'm better. I like it better than that.
There's a movie that does that really well. Do you remember The Autopsy of Jane Doe?
Oh, that was...
That's a huge spoiler for that movie. I apologize.
I don't even remember.
She ends up being a witch that wasn't a witch, but by them burning her at the stake and torturing her, it turns her into a witch, and so then she gets revenge as the body. Do you remember that? I'm sorry. Spoilers for Autopsy of Jane Doe. That movie is mean and good, and probably should watch it for this at some point too. Yeah, I forgot about it.
I don't really remember it. Besides, it was scary.
I almost feel like that twist is actually a little bit lame, but also like works really well. I have to see it again. I don't want to say if I liked it or not. I feel like I did like it when I watched it though. We spoil everything on here, Jason. We go right into it. We swear, we spoil. We don't talk about the plot.
That's why we spoil it.
Well, I think have we hit everything?
The last thing we have to cover is what do we rate this movie out of 10?
Unless you have anything else that you want to touch on before we rate.
No, I don't think so. It definitely exceeded my expectations. So yeah.
Give a pitch to the people. They should watch it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not in the horror movies, give it a watch. It's it gets better in that sense, I guess, after the first half. Like the nonstop horror movie feeling of unease goes away. But yeah.
I think it does like wrap up in a Band-Aid that makes it very tolerable, even if you're a scaredy cat. Yeah.
Well, I was at 15 in the middle. I'm like, oh man, 2 hours of this is intense.
Yeah, like
this is going to be a lot.
Yeah.
But then like it wasn't like
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
If you don't horror, just make sure you have a good blankie.
No, just start
and
horroring.
Some earmuffs.
It's worth it. Horror movies are like nothing else. It's worth it.
It's hard.
All right,
though.
Ratings.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
No, I don't.
You want me to go first?
I need to cheat by hearing your ratings.
I am going to give this a flat 9 out of 10.
That's fair.
And I can't tell you why. It just is.
It just be like that.
It's not a 10. But it's quite good and really worth the watch, and I'd recommend it to pretty much anybody. So,
Jason,
that's me.
Any thoughts?
I was thinking 8.5 to 9. Like, I feel like I haven't seen enough horror movies there to give it a 10 out of 10. But
ratings are bullshit, so that's why I say this every time.
I might have to make I might have to change this rating in a couple of years if I see some more movies and be like, all right, this is a 10 out of 10, or maybe it's not that great.
So what do you have right now? 8.5?
Like 8.5 to 9. Yeah.
All right.
Solid movie. I mean, that's, maybe a 9.5 technically, but like, I'm keeping it a little conservative.
And this is why ratings are bullshit.
This is a win in my book. I really wish we picked something stupider now for Jason.
No, you'd never get me to watch another horror movie. You gave me something stupid. Now you gave me something good. Yeah. Now I'm like, okay, maybe there is actually some appeal to this genre of movie. So
that's great.
I'm going to give it a 9.3.
Whoa, you outrated me. I'm shocked.
No, it's a really good movie.
It is very good.
I
just think Midsummer, I gave a 10.
I don't remember what I gave anything, and frankly, like, I cannot tell you if what I gave was accurate. Like, not accurate, because it's subjective, but if I made my top 5 horror movies, I can promise you that there will be things that I rated lower than a 9 in my top 5.
That's reasonable.
Like, you just be
that.
like,
yeah, just like that.
And Midsummer would not be in my top 5.
All right.
Just wouldn't.
Damn.
R.A.P. Great movie, but it wouldn't be. This would. maybe be in my top 5.
Midsummer's definitely in my top 5.
I know that.
But all right, that wraps it up. Feeling good?
Feeling good.
All right. So I'll sign off, right? Thanks for joining. I'm Matt Hanna.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Jason.
And thank you for watching or listening, whatever we do here. Have a good night, everyone.
Creeps yet. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and follow for additional content on TikTok or Instagram at Horror Hour with the Hannas. If you like the podcast, please leave a positive review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!